Works well. Bought it for the 10 Gigabit ports, and I don't know if it's the cables or the ports, but one does not bite into the port and hold all that great. The slightest bump and it loses connection. But since it is production, I cannot experiment with what's up. It works great otherwise. The UI is easy enough, and I had a couple configuration issues that Netgear support was fantastic and fast with helping with. This switch had the speed and power to solve a number of network problems I was having on my rather large home network. Many of my wireless devices would just stop communicating over Wi-Fi, and it turns out that my cheap home-grade switches, I had 4, just weren't moving traffic fast enough, and packet loss was causing a lot of spurious network problems, particularly for anything connected to my Wi-Fi AP, happened with B. After installing this, all of the problems are gone and my network is operating much faster. The UI is pretty straightforward, though it assumes a pretty solid level of knowledge of topics like VLANs, etc. Not for a beginner by any stretch. Very nice unit and value in my opinion. I recently upgraded from a Cisco SG208, and for the same price I paid 6+ years ago for the Cisco, I get 8 more gig ports with 2 more possible ports using BIC, SFP, and easier configuration and more features. The initial setup was kinda kludgy for me, as I do not use DHCP, so I had to laptop direct connect and get things going. I think that the utility they ship with the device, Smart Control Center, shows a lack of software development on their end. After I got things set up, I found the firmware and boot file were at the latest versions. I was able to set up a 2-port lag to my NAS with jumbo frames, set up a few VLANs for testing, and connect my virtual hosts using NFS and ISCSI with relative ease. I could not get the device view to work, a known Java issue, or the TFTP functions to work. HTTP functions work fine. When a new firmware does come out, I will say that I will be apprehensive to update, unless I find an issue directly affecting me. We have a somewhat complex network comprised of 4 of this series of switch, 1 by 48 port, 1 by 24 port, 1 by 24 port plus PO, 1 by 8 port. These are pretty robust switches and quite easy to configure. We have 9 VLANs and the switches are connected to each via 3 port lags. I went in with zero experience with VLANs or lags, and after a bit of reading was able to configure it all myself. We don't have these mixed with other vendors, or even a different series from Netgear, so I can't talk to that. What I found is that the default settings on these switches are pretty much right where most users need to be. Example, these support STP, RSTP, and MSTP. By default they're all set to RSTP and it just works. Our rack switch used to be comprised of a hodgepodge of different dumb switches all intertwined all route through single managed switches now. If I need to connect a piece of equipment to a device on the other side of the building, I just assign a port on each side to the requisite VLAN and plug it in. Need it to be isolated from all other networks? Make a new VLAN. Need more throughput between switches? Run another cable and add another port to the lag. Click link in description for more reviews.